What next for William Samoei Ruto after the defeat in Kabuchai and the defeat in Matungu? What next for the deputy president? Because let's face it, William Ruto has invested heavily, politically speaking, in the Luhya Nation. He has spent a lot of his resources in Luhya land. William Ruto has spent a lot of his time in Luhya Nation. And the truth of the matter is that William Ruto is doing this because the president who was expected to support him in 2022 is not going to endorse him. And therefore, he's not sure of getting the 99% of the votes from Central Kenya. So he embarked on 2 regions, to be precise. That is Coastal Region and Western Kenya. And Western Kenya is where William Ruto has invested heavily. So when this by-election was called, William Ruto wanted to achieve 4 political objectives. Number 1, it was going to be the first attempt for his new political party, Order, to venture into a parliamentary election. In Msambweni, he supported an independent candidate. That was not an Order candidate. And that candidate won. So now Kabuchai and Matungu provided him with the opportunity to sponsor a candidate on his political party. Because the fact of the matter is that William Ruto is developing Order into a formidable force for 2022 because he has been kicked out of Jubilee Party. Number 2, it was also going to be his first foray into Western Kenya politics. I want to take you back. In Kibra, William Ruto sponsored McDonald Mariga. And I did several videos on this. The main objective of William Samoei Ruto venturing into Kibra was not to win, because he didn't have a chance. But William Ruto was keen on testing whether, through the use of money, he could manage to influence lawyers into voting for their man. And indeed, in Kibra, William Ruto succeeded. Based on the number of votes McDonald Mariga got. McDonald Mariga was projected as a lawyer candidate. And then after that, he banked on the Kikuyu Nation votes and then also banked on the youth votes. Kabuchai and Matungu now provided him now with the entry into the real Luhya Nation politics. Kwa ground. Sio waloya wale wamezaliwa Nairobi. Kwa ground. The third objective was that the deputy president wanted to gauge the power of his team in Western Kenya or the Luhya Nation. And he also wanted to test his campaign machinery. Not only in Kabuchai, but in the entire by-election. That's why in Kisii you would see that woman, the women rep from from Garissa, running, being chased. Garissa and Kisii is very far. That's why you could see Nixon Korir working so hard to win in London. So he wanted to test his machinery. But ultimately, he won in some, he lost in some. In Western Kenya, and I want to be honest, and this is my personal opinion, which I hold, I strongly believe that William Ruto has been defeated, humiliated in Matungu and Kabuchai. I know most of you guys are also saying, okay, but ODM also was defeated and humiliated. In Matungu constituency, ODM candidate got 10,000 votes. The winner got 14,000 votes. The other candidate got 5,000 votes. That was shocking. In fact, I was talking to one of Tanga guys who was on the ground there. He was telling me that they are actually shocked at the outcome, that particular outcome. They were sure of becoming number 2, and in Kabuchai, they were actually sure of number 1. And personally, I also share the same opinion that Ruto was humiliated there. So it's my personal opinion. But what next for the deputy president? In my view, the deputy president must do 5 things. Number 1, the first thing he must do, he must rethink his strategy in Western Kenya. Is the strategy he's been using in Central Kenya, in Western Kenya, working for him? I don't think that strategy is working. And the deputy president must go back and ask himself. He's been going to church severally in those regions, conducting harambes. Are they bearing fruits? What about his messaging? So he must go back and rethink his strategy. And I want to play for you a clip of Boni Halwale just before he joined Tanga Tanga, so that you can understand their thinking, the thinking of the people of Western Kenya towards William Samoei Ruto. It's all about money.
Mheshimiwa Tindi na Mheshimiwa Murunga nimemuona juzi mkiwa kwa boma ya William Ruto. Mkienda huko, muende huko mkijua kwamba Mheshimiwa Ruto akijifanya rafiki wenu, na nyinyi muwe marafiki wake, lakini muwe waerefu kama mtoto wa nyoka. Nomwenya kutia wene kulia mandasi kulero mbole Ruto anyoli kura yumuluya bovei.
So you must figure out whether that strategy is working with him. The good news is that William Samoei Ruto himself acknowledged this, that the people of Western Kenya are only going to him for problems. But when it reaches the time for votes, they are voting for watu wengine. So in my considered opinion, William Ruto must go back and ask himself why the people of the Western Kenya region are only going to him when they are in problems. But when it comes to real votes, they don't vote for him. Listening to the deputy president, if you did not watch this clip.
Jameni, hata na nyinyi saa zingine mnanitumia vibaya. Kwa sababu sasa ikifika siku ya maendeleo, tunataka kanisa ijengwe, tunataka barabara, tunataka basi ya shule, mnatafuta Ruto. Lakini siku ya kupiga kura, sasa mnaanza mambo ingine hapa. Sasa hapana.
Lazima mjue unaweza kula mtu na umunyime. Para kuwa mjinga ati kula yake, utafanya nini? Utafanya nini na hiyo mtu mjui? Kama nakuletea wewe kula, but after taking it, siku ya kura manyora. Mudavadi ndio yuko na sisi hapa. Hao namna gani?
Tunakushukuru sana. Umetuambia mambo matatu. Tukule kwa Ruto, kura kwa Mudavadi. Tukure kwa Raila, kura kwa Mudavadi. Tushike kura, tupige kura. Tumesikia mzee. Wakileta tutakula, lakini kura ni kwa Musalia, Mudavadi.
The second thing which William Ruto must do, in my considered opinion, William Ruto must either reach out to Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula to work together. If not, he must reduce the attacks on them. This is what has cost ODM in some of the by-elections. For example, I strongly believe that ODM as a political party, through their Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, should not be attacking their former partners. Why should they attack them? These guys are people who voted for who supported Raila Odinga. So if they are parting ways, then they just need to respect that, but not to attack. William Samoei Ruto must understand that Kenyan politics is still tribal, and it can be explained clearly with the voting pattern in the past election, in the just concluded by election. It can be explained there that the voting took a tribal pattern. Mudavadi and Wetangula are considered to be the political leaders of the larger Luhya Nation. So if you attack them, what do you expect? Let me just read for you a comment from a guy who is an authority on Western Kenya politics. Let me just play for you that. Let me just read for you. Now, this is what Kamasasa is updating on his Facebook page. He's saying there was this controversial harambe in Indangalasia that Ruto presided over. The harambe brought together a number of churches. Ruto splashed cash, insulted Mudavadi, rebuked Wetangula, and insulted Raila as locals cheered him. Yesterday, a by-election was conducted. Ruto had his UDA candidate in the contest. The Indangalasia people paid back Ruto in kind by denying him their votes. UDA candidate performed so poorly in all the voting centers around Indangalasia. In fact, Indangalasia gave UDA candidates the least votes as compared to other centers around Matungu constituency. Endeleeni kucheza kama nyinyi. Is a lawyer is proud. Kuna vitu amesema hapo, Murio Muno Abaloya. So he's a lawyer guy. So basically, William Ruto needs to be very strategic. And if I were to be his advisor, which I'm not, even his attacks on Raila Odinga, if I were him, I would reduce. I'd focus on what I can do for the people. If it's about Wilbaro, I'll focus more on Wilbaro, but not attacking these other leaders. It doesn't really pay. The third thing which Ruto must do is to ask himself whether the hustler nation narrative is selling. And who are these hustlers? These hustlers are the many young people who are not employed. We saw these young people in action yesterday. These guys caused havoc in London. Nixon Korir, I think penye yuko sahi, is still in pain. We saw these guys undressing a man, a full man, in public. We saw these guys harassing even members of parliament. So many vehicles were destroyed by these young people. These are the people who are supposed to be William Ruto's supporters. They're supposed to believe in William Ruto's narrative. Yesterday, they were not with him in those places. What does it tell you? That the narrative which William Ruto is selling is not getting into the heads of these young people, who are majorly the targets. So we must find a way of preaching this gospel to these people. And something was also very clear. When these men were causing havoc, for those who were keenly following the by-election, lines was there. And most people on this line were actually the elderly, women, and wazes, and probably mature people, were the ones online. Youths walikuwa tuna vituko, right, and center. So the question is, this hustler nation narrative, is it getting to the right or the intended audience? That's something he needs to work on. The fourth thing is the money factor in politics. It is clear that in Western Kenya, the motto is kula kwa Ruto, kula kwa Mudavadi. Kula kwa Ruto, kura kwa Mudavadi, kura kwa Wetangula. The same to Kisii. How do you explain other candidate becoming number 6? When the amount of money we saw being given before the election to the voters in that ward was so huge. At one point, there was this Jahir Zanda who was just dishing 1,000 to women, almost 200 women seated in a single function. So the politics of money, is it really sustainable, and is it really paying off? Are people just taking money because they need it? Or is there a message which you need to give them as you give them money so that they can vote for you? William Ruto need to figure out how that is going to work out. And lastly, William Ruto must disband his team from the Luhya Nation. They've let him down. Matungu constituency is in Kakamega County. Kakamega County prides itself as one of the counties in the larger Western Kenya with the highest number of allies of the deputy president. Boni Aluwali, who is the face of Tanga Tanga from Western Kenya, comes from Kakamega County. He failed to deliver. What does that tell you? He wants to be the governor. Rashid Echesa, the first Wanga to be appointed to the cabinet, courtesy of William Samoei Ruto, was even pleading with the people of Matungu constituency, because he's also a Wanga, not to shame them, to shame him. These people decided to give them 5% of the votes. Not 5%, 5,000 votes. Yeah? Very sad. This is the same place where majority whip, former Ben Washali, who decided to risk his job for William Samoei Ruto, comes from. So Kakamega had 3 serious allies of the deputy president. Did they fail? Yes, they failed to deliver. Why? Probably because of infighting amongst themselves. Rashid, Washiali, Aluwale are not seeing eye to eye. Aluwale at some point was told by Rashid Mohammed to return money he took from the widow. Their candidate, Alex Lanya, was accused by the widow of misusing funds for Arambe, which was meant for the grave. Washiali and Rashid also have their fair of fights. So they didn't deliver. Then the next county is Bungoma. Bungoma County has Didmus Baraza. Bungoma County has Dan Wanyama. Bungoma County has the Cecilia member of parliament, Waluke, whose constituency just borders that. Key allies of the deputy president. These guys assured the deputy president that they were going to deliver. Again, they failed to deliver. So if you are to the deputy president, what would you do? Fire them. I want to take you to Msambweni. In Msambweni, Salim Voria, Hassan Omar, Jicho Pevu, Aisha Jomwa campaigned so well for their candidate. During campaigns, they didn't even play this drama. Walienda tu chini, never attacked Raila, never attacked ODM. They just focused on their candidates, focused on scientific opinion polls. They delivered. What about these other guys? Drama, been drama, drama after drama. So William Samoei Ruto should think whether this team is still the right team for him in that region. If it's not the right team, he needs to figure out whether he needed another team or to enter into some agreement with some of these guys. In fact, he can even offer Moses Wetangula the running mate. I don't know what you think. Let me hear your thoughts. My next video is going to be the lessons which Raila Odinga should actually learn from the Matungu and Kabuchai by-election. There are serious lessons which you need to learn from those people. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.